Today on the newscast, we head to Jerusalem for an up-close look at an amazing archaeological discovery that was more rare than gold during Old Testament times. That's coming up. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. You could say that the news cycle over the past week or so has not exactly been positive. We've reported a great deal here on the newscast of wars and rumors of war. Not the most pleasant subject matter, I know, but we have a duty here at the newscast to keep all of you informed. Yet it is Friday, and I'd love to take us into the weekend on a positive note to remind everyone that God is moving today in 2023, and no place more than in His land, the land of Israel. And one way He is doing that is through biblical archaeology, these incredible discoveries that we're seeing time and time again in Jerusalem and really throughout the land of Israel. We've got a great one for you today from the city of David, one of my favorite places in all of Jerusalem. Before we go there, to give you an up-close look, I just want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Watchman News channel right here on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up, click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. Hey, as I mentioned, and if you watch the newscast on a regular basis, you know that we're covering Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, Russia, China, all the latest current geopolitical news. But you also know that we love biblical history and archaeology. I am privileged to be able to get on the ground in Israel, Jordan, elsewhere throughout the Middle East, and see these incredible archaeological discoveries dating back to the times of the Second Temple, the First Temple, up close, and even get a chance to hold them in my hand. It's pretty special. So right now, let's go to Jerusalem's city of David to see an incredible archaeological find dating back some 2,600 years that in its day was more rare than gold. And a big thanks, by the way, to our good friends from the Israel Antiquities Authority and, of course, the team at the City of David. Take a look. Well, Yiftah, we are back in a very special place here at the Givati excavation. Now, you and I were here a few years ago, and you showed us some amazing discoveries from some 2,600 years ago, the time of the destruction of the First Temple. Before we get to the new discovery, we'll leave everyone in suspense for just a minute, refresh our memory with some other amazing discoveries that were found right here.
We already been in this house, one of the largest houses from the late Iron Age, the late First Temple period, to be found here in Jerusalem. This house has 2-story and 3 rooms in each store, and it was destroyed, as you said before, during the Babylonian destruction of Jerusalem in 586 BC. We found here, and we showed it before, several seals and seals impression.
Yeah.
For example, this tiny piece, if you remember, this seal impression that bear the name Netan Melech Eved Melech, to Netan Melech, the servant of the king, which is
servant of the king.
Right, but he's not a servant as we understand it today. It means he's the right hand of the king. He's the most powerful minister in the court.
And this is one of the ancient Judean kings.
Right, and the name Netan Melech, we also know him from the Bible. He is mentioned in King II as a high minister in the court of Josiah during the reform that he's doing here in Jerusalem in the temple.
Josiah, certainly the great reformer of the time. And this just reinforces what you said, Yiftah. This was a structure, a building, which was very important, some very important, the elites of society dwelled within the structure.
And this brings us to the recent finds that we are about to show today. And these are...
This is the new one.
These are the new ones. This is fresh from the oven.
Wow.
And you can just see here small ivory plates, inlays that used to decorate furniture that were here in this house, in the second story of the house, where the more prestige room used to be.
So the second story, which isn't here now, obviously, but it was 2,600 years ago, that would be even more significant perhaps even royalty up there, or people like a Natan Melech who was close to the king, they'd be up there, they'd be upstairs.
Exactly. This is where the conference rooms, this is where these guys host and welcome other people.
Maybe even foreign dignitaries, visitors from other places would come here?
Maybe, yeah. Again, we don't really know who lived here, but we know he was a high-rank officer, maybe a priest, maybe a minister. Ivory, most scholars agree, is the most expensive material in the world, maybe even more expensive than gold.
Wow.
It's very rare. You need to find the elephant to get a tusk. The level of artistry you need to have in order to make something so delicate is really, really high.
Yeah.
We don't assume it was done here in Jerusalem. Most probably the tusks were brought to Assyria, where the real artist used to be, and then the final product was brought here to Jerusalem to serve in the houses of the elite. So try to imagine a bed or a desk or maybe a door with these really nice decorations.
The design. Inlaid in it, okay.
Inlaid in.
And you can see, as you said, Yiftah, I mean, number one, very well preserved. This ivory, I just touch it, what a thrill to even touch it. But secondly, you can see the intricate design there. It took some real craftsmanship to put this together, to design it.
Exactly. These are about 2 millimeters thick, the plates. And you can see they're decorated with rosettes and trees. And we also got lotus flowers. The motifs themselves, the lotus, the rosette, the tree are very well known here in the Levant and in other places.
In the Middle East region,
And we also know them from other ivory caches that were found either in Samaria, slightly earlier from the 9th or 8th century BC, or from the capital of Assyria, Namrud, and other places. So the fashion is well known in the Assyrian Empire. It is interesting to see that we don't have here figures, neither human or animal figures, that you do find in other ivory caches. It might be that the Jerusalem elite chose not to use figures due to the religious
prohibition on graven images in the Bible.
But on the other hand, since this is the only ivory caches found so far in Judea.
The only ivory cache found in Judea.
Right.
And you're holding it in your hands. It's pretty amazing.
We didn't find the ivories the way we see them now. We found them broken to hundreds and thousands, actually more than 1,500 tiny pieces like that were scattered around right here when we are standing.
Wow. Piecing a puzzle together, I guess.
Yeah, it's an amazing puzzle, but you don't have the picture on the box, so you don't know what you're looking for.
Exactly.
So it's a Sisyphic work, but it was a success, as you can see.
Of course, it was tedious and painstaking work, but well worth it. I do have a request.
Yes.
I held the seals before. Am I able to hold a piece of this ancient ivory? Is that possible?
Yeah, sure.
Just a tiny, okay, wow. Folks, here you have it. There were 1,500 of these fragments, like Yiftah said. Holding in my hand, 2,600 years old. Who knows where this was inlaid, this particular ivory? Like you said, a doorway, some kind of seat that very important people, perhaps even a king, sat in. You mentioned earlier, Yiftah, ivory was very rare.
Yes, it is.
Perhaps even more valuable than gold.
Yeah.
And we were talking off camera before the interview, only comes from elephants and hippos, I think you said?
So we sampled these fragments and we know that these are from elephant tusks. And elephants are not marching around here in Judea, as you can imagine. So the tusk himself was probably brought from Africa, sent to Assyria, to the workshops, and then brought here to Jerusalem, maybe or even probably as a gift between the elites. Someone was sending the high rank, high society here in Jerusalem a gift from Assyria to use in their houses. So you can see here the connection between the vassal kingdom, the small vassal kingdom of Judea, and the major Assyrian capital.
Yeah. Last question, two-part question. Number one, this discovery, which is very recent, folks, this must have caused quite a stir in the archaeological world, I would think. And secondly, just for you, Yiftah, on a personal level, we've talked about this before, this never gets old for you. It's old, but it never gets old for you, right? I mean, there's so many amazing things every day being found here at the City of David.
Right. The amazing part of archaeology, well, for me, is that it's keep giving. You find something, and sometimes it takes a week to understand what it is, and sometimes it takes 4 years to understand what it is.
Yeah.
But the large picture is keep building itself.
Yeah.
So there's never a dull moment, and you always add more details to the major understanding of the past.
Yeah. These are ancient mysteries, really,
It is.
that you're bringing to life, and you're putting them together, and hey, you're solving the mysteries.
We collect evidence, and we try to reconstruct the crime scene, if you like. Sometimes we get lucky, sometimes less.
And bringing the Bible to life for all of us. We appreciate it so much, Yiftah. Thank you for all the work you're doing.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming.
Folks, I've said it before, I'm sure I'll say it again. When you combine irrefutable scientific, archaeological proof with the truth of the Bible, you have an unbeatable combination. Thanks again to our good friends at the Israel Antiquities Authority, and of course the City of David as well, for giving us incredible access to see that great archaeological find up close. Hey, have a great weekend. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the newscast. Until next time, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, click subscribe, and tap the bell icon to turn on notifications for new Watchman Newscast episodes every weekday.